Hey everybody, happy Thanksgiving, or I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, depending on when I actually feel like posting this video. So I'm going to be answering a question from a viewer today from Sarah Wilson, and she wrote, "What are your thoughts on free love? I'm a big supporter of blurring the line between friends and sex partners. Although I haven't had sex with any of my guy friends, but they suck my nipples every day." My thoughts on free love. I think free love can be a great thing, or like friends with benefits, casual sex, I think that all kind of falls into like the free love category. And I totally support it. Like, if everybody in this free love situation is consenting and is wanting to do it and is excited and is all down with it, then I am 100% in support of that. I think that free love can be a great thing. I think it can be a really great way to like explore your sexuality, especially if you're young or if you're not in a committed relationship. It can be a great way to get to know yourself too and to like learn how to navigate sexual relationships. And learn too about boundaries because it can be really hard, I know, in a free love situation to keep feelings out of it and to see things as purely sexual. And that's not every situation, but I think that happens a lot, especially if you're in like a friends with benefits type of relationship with someone where you're just friends but you're having sex together. It can be really hard to like, and it's, going on a constant basis. It can be really hard to compartmentalize your feelings for them as a friend and then your sexual relationship with them, and to like, I think it's really good to like learn how to do that. And in general, I just think that it can be a great way to explore relationships with people. With that being said, I think that free love stuff can go wrong. There are definitely negatives to it. Like, one of them would be the spread of diseases. It's a really easy way to spread STDs or STIs is to sleep, especially with a lot of people. Um, you have to definitely practice very, very, very safe sex if you're going to be doing that. I would say wear condoms every time. If your condom breaks, go and get tested. Like, do not have sex with someone else, get tested first. And I think you need to communicate all of that. And I would definitely be using another form of birth control as well if you have a female reproductive system. It's really easy to like get caught up in the moment and not use condoms. But like I said, if you're in free love relationships and you're not monogamous, which, free love is not really monogamous, it can be really easy to spread diseases and catch diseases and all that stuff, and we want to obviously not do that. So I think that's a negative, though, is it can be really easy to do that. I feel like another negative, especially on kind of like the friends with benefits type of thing, is that it can ruin your friendship sometimes. I think it's hard to compartmentalize, like I was saying. It can be a good thing to learn how to do that, but it's hard. And, a lot of times I think you end up kind of developing feelings for the other person just because hormones are a thing. And, I don't think most times it works out where both people have equally strong feelings and then they end up in a relationship. I think in my experience too, most of the times one person kind of ends up getting hurt, and then you can't really be friends after that because there's so much tension and awkwardness between you two. And that can really suck to lose a good friend over something like that. So I think, especially with friends with benefits, you have to be really careful. But with all that being said, I think free love can be a very empowering experience, especially if you come from a sex negative household or community. It can be a great way to kind of reject all that and to explore sexuality and practice sex positivity. And I also think free love is a great way to kind of expand on yourself because, a lot of times people don't want to get into relationships, especially when they're really young, because maybe they want to focus on school or advancing in their careers or whatever it is. And, they don't want to put all the time and energy that's required to put into dating and relationships. And I think free love is a great alternative to that, because we all have sexual needs, and most people do want to be having sex, and that's great. And I think that free love and casual sex and friends with benefits and all of that are really great ways then to seek out sexuality without having a relationship and everything that comes with that. And I think especially for women, it's also a very good thing. And historically, it's been a really good thing. Marriage was often something that really held women back because, like, once you got married, it was the expectation that you were a housewife and you didn't have a career, and you would have children and that would be your life. And it kind of like stopped women from being able to be economically autonomous. And it is a huge part of sexism for sure. And a lot of people didn't get married on purpose because they knew of the terrible ramifications of it. And Susan B. Anthony was one of those people. She never ever got married in her life for that reason, because she knew that her freedom would totally be jeopardized if she got married. And especially like way back in the 1800s, your husband had pretty much full control over you. They could like legally abuse you. Really, it was like a dom sub type of relationship, in the sense that the husband's say uh, really was what you had to do. The husband controlled all the purse strings, and you couldn't legally get a divorce from your husband. Like, you couldn't ask for a divorce for a long time. At least for most white women, they couldn't work outside the home. Your husband really kind of did legally own you, and that historically is how marriage has worked. Women were seen as property, and that's why even in our modern day society we have these kind of archaic wedding traditions, like, for example, like the father of the bride walking her down the aisle and then giving her off to her groom. Like, that comes from a property exchange, because literally how it was that she was the property of her father, but then when she got married, she became the property of her husband. So that tradition that, still lives on today in modern day wedding ceremonies, that comes from that really archaic time where women were literally property. And that symbolized the transfer of property from one male to another. In summation, yeah, I'm totally for free love as long as everyone is being safe and conscientious. And I think as long as you're being very intentional about it and exploring this type of sexuality in a healthy way, like, yeah, for sure, I am totally for it. I know that me personally, I'm not so much down with the free love in my own life, just because I tend to really get fulfilled from relationships. Like, I don't really get a whole lot of fulfillment off of purely sexual relationships. And most of my sexual attraction comes from people that I am attracted to on an intellectual or spiritual level. So I can't really necessarily separate like my physical feelings from my emotional feelings, which does not make a great uh, concoction for a free love relationship. So it's not really something that I practice, but I think it can be something really, really awesome to practice. So if you guys ever want me to talk about something or have a question for me, feel free to leave it or message me or whatever, and I will see you guys later.